Hello, and welcome to our module, Leadership Foundations. My name is Dr. Donnie Horner, and I'm the Vice President of Human Capital Solutions here at Higher Echelon. It's my pleasure to be with you today to introduce the concept of leadership and address several foundational topics and issues. This section covers why is the notion of leadership so confusing and mystifying, a brief overview of leadership theory and research, a working definition of leadership, and finally, why leadership matters. So, why the confusion? We witness leaders in leadership in almost every aspect of our daily lives, from teachers in the classroom, head coaches of athletic teams, military officers with soldiers, doctors in the operating room, to CEOs of large, complex organizations. Leaders are everywhere. We personally witness leaders and examples of leadership, both good and bad, all the time. And therein lies the paradox. As Philip Selznick wrote in his classic book, Leadership and Administration, leadership is a slippery phenomenon, taken for granted because it's all around us. The notable historian, political scientist, and leadership scholar, James MacGregor Burns, lamented, "Leadership is one of the most observed and least understood phenomenon on earth. Leadership is so ubiquitous that we don't think about it very much, at least not in a disciplined, rigorous sort of way. Confusion results because people tend to have their own conceptions of leadership, and these conceptions are often contradictory. Leadership also has a mystical quality, and that's because human beings tend to associate great leaders with monumentally positive, significant outcomes. Think Abraham Lincoln, Dwight David Eisenhower, think Martin Luther King Jr. The opposite's also true. Really bad leaders are associated with really bad outcomes. On an international scale, think Joseph Stalin. In pop culture, think Don Draper from Mad Men and Bill Lumbergh from Office Space. Closer to home, think of your worst boss, your worst supervisor. So, there you have it. Leadership tends to be confusing because it is so universally witnessed, so universally experienced. We've all had a bad boss, hopefully a great boss too. And leadership tends to have something of a mystical quality because of its association with really significant positive and negative events. A brief overview of leadership theory and research. Leaders and leadership have been studied extensively. Earliest ideas focused on great leaders of history and suggested that great leaders had innate traits that enabled them to excel as leaders. In this view, leaders were born and not made, and leadership was not something that could be taught. Subsequent work attempted to document the traits necessary to be a good leader. Napoleon himself compiled a list of the 115 essential traits for his subordinate commanders. The problem was that these essential traits often conflicted with one another, and not all traits applied across all leadership opportunities. Other approaches turned attention from the leader to the situation and focused on elements of the task at hand to understand how best to lead. Still others focused on aspects of the people being led and how leaders might adjust their styles to match what subordinates needed at a particular place and time. Contemporary views of leadership generally agree on a few principles. Leadership can be taught and learned. People have characteristics that make them better suited to lead in some situations more than others. Leadership involves the interaction between the leader, the led, and the situation. Leadership is both an art and a science. It can be practiced and it can be studied. Mental, emotional, and behavioral skills are the foundation of leadership performance and are trainable. Leadership defined. Given this background, what is leadership? Leadership is a process in which the leader attempts to influence members of the team or organization to engage in behaviors consistent with the pursuit of team or organizational goals. Now let's unpack that definition just for a bit. Leadership involves a process, meaning that leadership is ongoing and dynamic, not static. Influence, meaning that motivation, power, and persuasion are involved. The leader and the led, meaning that there is hierarchy between the leader and followers. A team or organization. The leader and followers are members of an organized team which has a common purpose and goal. The situation. The context within which leadership occurs. Leadership also involves behaviors. The leader and followers behave in a manner either consistent or inconsistent with organizational goals. Goals and objectives. Success is defined by the achievement of team goals. And let's not forget that all of the above is subject to individual perceptions of those involved in the leadership situation. This means that the leader's behaviors, as well as those of the followers, are subject to the interpretation of those involved in the process. Why leadership matters. Leaders matter because they have a dramatic effect on organizational performance. Leaders matter because not only do they support the organization by setting budgets, resolving conflicts, and developing their teams, but also because they support their people by mentoring them, supporting their personal lives when necessary, and influencing their overall engagement with work. Leaders matter because of their impact on work-life balance. The interconnected nature of our professional and personal lives suggests that what we do at work affects what we do at home, and vice versa. While effective leaders may be highly engaged in their work, they also take the time to unwind, recharge, and pursue leisure activities. This helps leaders perform at their best without burning out, and sets a great example for followers. Leadership matters because research shows that leaders who model work-life balance for followers actually boost team productivity and performance on the job. Leadership matters because of its associated effects on mental health and well-being, job satisfaction, creativity and innovation, relationships, and turnover. This concludes our lesson on why leadership is important. In the next lesson, you'll learn what people really need from leaders to create a high-performance environment. Thank you for joining us.